they released a bunch of information about that the King of the Hill. They keep calling it a new season. I would not call it a new season. It has a different. It's a revival. It's really more akin to like when they brought back Roseanne and they became the Connors. It's like it's more or less a new show because it's got a different showrunner. It's not really. It looks like Mike Judge is only involved insofar as I don't think he's writing on it. I think he's just doing voices. Like I think he's just doing Hank and Boomhauer. But yeah,
And I heard that the guy who plays Hank's dad in the original is now Dale.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a thing we had asked before. So there's a bunch of details that came out. That's one of them. I guess we'll start there. One of the details, I think it's Toby Huss who played Hank's dad and Con because they have recast Con with actual Laotian. And yeah, he has taken over as Dale, and you can kind of tell in the trailer if you've seen if you've seen that leaked trailer. You can kind of tell there's a bit where he sounds kind of different, but otherwise it's pretty flawless.
Well, I had heard that like the first, I think it was like six episodes or something like that, 5, 6, 7 episodes. The original voice actor for Dale is the actual voice in the show. And then there's a certain point where this guy takes over.
Yeah, there's 10 episodes, and I believe he did the first 2 or 3. Might be 2. And then you could tell when you listen to that leaked trailer, you can kind of tell, but it's pretty spot on. And I think the beauty of this, and this is why I love this, is it doesn't matter because you could just chalk it up to Dale being older.
You could chalk it up to Dale being older and having smoked for all those years.
Right. I think he's probably quit. That's why he's vaping. That's my theory.
Oh, I didn't see this leaked trailer. I saw the small little bit that I sent you.
No, I mean on the poster he's vaping, so I think he's vaping because he quit.
I could believe that.
But yeah, they officially released the theme song, which was cool. It shows the passage of time between the ending of the previous season and this new season. So you see the plot of this is that Hank and Peggy and apparently these are real, but they're like these compounds in Saudi Arabia where like they just look like a suburban neighborhood and nothing changes and nothing really evolves. And these are real. These are based on real things in Saudi Arabia. But in order to build a retirement nest egg, Peggy and Hank moved to Saudi Arabia and have been gone for a number of years. And they are now
Bobby went with them too.
Bobby did not go with them. Bobby. It appears that there's that period where they're moving out. He just moved out. So he currently lives in Dallas and is the head and / co-owner of a successful restaurant. So the show is, according to the showrunners, predominantly about him and his life and him being an adult. And it appears by that trailer, because I saw a full version of the trailer, he runs into Connie. So he hasn't seen Connie in a number of years, so he runs into her again. Joseph appears to be back. He's there as well. And he's hanging out with Chain Wasana-san, which is interesting.
Who?
The kid who used to bully him, who made him eat dirt in that one episode. He was like the Asian guy who Connie's parents wanted him to date him instead.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, apparently it looks like he's friends now. And yeah, so I guess it's about how Hank coming back and seeing what's different, moving back to the neighborhood, back into the old family home, and seeing what's different. And in the trailer, it's interesting that Bill he's fatter and older, which I thought was funny.
Well, it's interesting that you say that Bobby didn't go with them to Saudi Arabia, because in that theme song, it looks like there's a point where the 3 of them leave.
Yeah, that's him.
Together.
That's him moving out, like as an adult moving out. Moving.
Well, that's not what it looks like. It looks like that's the 3 of them leaving to go to Saudi Arabia.
Right, but no, it's that he's living in Dallas. So
I mean, just because he's living in Dallas doesn't mean that he didn't go with them.
I don't. Well, to be fair, he might. I haven't seen this, but that from what it's been described,
gone with them and then moved back as an adult.
No, I think it's just they all moved out together. So they moved out and then went to Saudi Arabia, and then he also moved out.
It's not what it looks like.
And then I love the bit at the end where it's the three of them. What else?
My one thing when I first saw the theme song, that I was like is because of course my brain I was like, well, they would sell the house, right? So like my first thing I was like, wait, so he came back to Texas and just happened to be able to buy his house back, and then my brain was like, well, no. Later, my brain was like, "Well, no, duh. Of course, he's renting it out to someone." The
black guy in the theme song who comes out is now hanging out.
For whatever reason, when I first saw it, I was like, "How could he have bought his house back? That doesn't make any sense."
I think that guy, because from what I can gather, because you see in the theme song, he comes out eventually once Hank and Peggy move away, and he's now out in the alleyway drinking beer with them. So I think he rents, and in the trailer you see him in the trailer. So I think he is still renting from them and he's living with them.
Yeah, I suspect what it'll be is Hank and Peggy come back. Bobby's not living there anymore, and so this guy can either have Luann's room or
Bobby's room,
Bobby's room, and still live there while they're living there.
The theory is that he's I think he's a new character, but one of the theories is that he's
one of the guys that Hank worked with.
Yeah, one of the guys that Hank worked with. Yeah,
one of the tank guy. I don't remember the character's name.
The one who was played by Chris Rock.
Yeah,
that one. So I pulled up this.
I just don't see it being that. The only reason why I don't see it being that character is because, I mean, unless you're going to have him sound completely different than Chris Rock, or have a Chris Rock sound-alike come in.
I mean, I'm sure they could get Chris Rock to come back.
I'm
pretty confident they could get Chris Rock to come back, but
I heard that Bill basically has become a shut-in, and he finished Netflix. was a thing that was said about him. The creator said.
That's funny. So my number one thing is there's a lot of attempts to deconservatize, or I don't know how else to put it, liberalize the original King of the Hill. So one of the things that the showrunner said was Hank always represented the sensible middle. The old show did a great job handling the extremes and kind of pushing people towards the common sense middle was. Which is just... while Hank's been gone and while he's gone, the country's changed so much. They also said they're not... If you're tuning in expecting Hank to find out who Hank voted for, you're not going to find that out.
No, because he's been hiding in Saudi Arabia.
He can still vote.
But, so, okay, in terms of... Yeah, but clearly he didn't. And so okay, we're gonna deconstruct this. Hank being center by Canadian standards, no. Hank being center-ish by Texan standards, I could kind of see.
No, he was so conservative.
I can kind of see. Only when you put him beside some of the other people. I wouldn't call him center. I would call him center right.
Compared to, I suppose, Donald Trump. Yeah, he's downright left-leaning, but no, that's the whole point of that show. That show is written by a conservative man, and it never makes the case. A lot of times, sometimes it does make the case that he's wrong in the case of certain social issues, but it never makes the case that being a conservative is wrong. So, to be and then they've said the same thing of Dale, he's going to seem practically, they're going to dial back some of his more extreme ideas, and he's going to be downright middle. And it's well, no, that's not... If he's a conspiracy theory, he would absolutely have been there on January 6th. Oh,
he would definitely be a Trump supporter. But
for sure.
They don't want that.
They don't want to do that, which is disingenuous. It just comes across and that's why I mean, it's apparent to me that this is the new showrunner, where it just kind of comes across like people from LA writing a show about people from Texas. But the most unbelievable bit about this, and the theory is that it was a extension of Strickland. Strickland was the one who convinced him, but I find it unbelievable that Hank would leave Texas. Texas and it's still in that trailer. It still seems to be part of his identity. So I just don't believe that he would leave Texas. Not even just his friends. I believe he would ditch his friends in a heartbeat. It's the leaving Texas thing that doesn't square with me.
I don't believe it either. The only way that I believe it is, if Strickland like takes him to this place, basically, because Hank was all about like perfectionism, right? Things staying the same. That's why he was always obsessed with his lawn being perfect and stuff like that, right? He was all about like order and control. To the point where, no, that's Stan. Never mind. But he was always about order and control. And so I could see Strickland selling him on it only in so far of the fact of being like, Hank, my boy, if you go to this place in Saudi Arabia, it stays like it's always Texas. It's always classic Texas.
But that's not how this is presented. This is presented as though he's doing it for the money. Like he's doing this, and I just that's out of character in my opinion for him.
I'm saying, to me, that my way is the only way that it would make sense.
Yeah,
is if that's how it's sold. It is like, because it's just always classic Texas there. Things never change. Things always stay the same. That to me is in character with Hank.
Right, and this article goes on to say that it's a coming of age story in purple state suburbia, and that's just not King of the Hill. Like, some of the King of the Hill's more irritating elements to me, as I can say that because I've watched it as an adult recently. That's just not King of the Hill. King of the Hill is through and through a conservative show, and that's fine. But like, to pretend it wasn't a conservative show because conservatives now, or Republicans, because there's not, it was a conservative show, it doesn't mean it's a Republican show. But conservatism and Republicans have become so entwined that they don't want, and MAGA and Republican, they don't want to attach that image to King of the Hill. But it's disingenuous to pretend that King of the Hill wasn't a conservative show, because it was, and that's fine. It can be a conservative show. That's okay.
Now,
still funny show.
If you were to have it be where in universe, in story, you explain that Hank has become more left, more liberal because of Bobby. Because Bobby changed his mind and opened his heart and changed it, and you explain it within the context of the story, then I it will bother me less.
Well, but also
I to a degree, I could see it. I can see a plot thread where Dale has become a little less crazy, because you see in that opening theme song, he was, or at least tried to be.
Yeah, he tried to run for mayor.
They're going to make it where, he tried to run for mayor. So I could see it being a thing where that experience caused him to be less conspiracy theory because nobody would vote for him.
I mean,
and it changed his mind. Like, there are story reasons that you could contrive that would make it work for me.
I think they're probably going to go in a taking...
Because they've done a time jump.
Yeah.
That gives them leeway in my eyes.
Well, that's my thing.
They can have these characters be quite different and explain it within it's been 14, 15, however many years.
That's my thing, is how long has he been in Saudi Arabia? Because in order for him to be that removed from modern society, it would have to be quite a while. And the way Boomhauer's hugging him in that trailer, it tells me it's been a bit. So that's where that's when you're like, oh, did Bobby go with them to Saudi Arabia? Maybe, and then he came back to America. Because it seems to imply that they've been gone a while. They've been gone quite a while, but in order to become that removed from modern, it'd have to be at least 10 years in order to it's stuck in purgatory, essentially.
Plus, that my other
Which is a while.
Argument for why I think Bobby went with them is because if he didn't, and they were gonna move out right around the time when he's an adult, he would have just rented from them. Why would he have left their house?
Well, who's to say he didn't?
What do you mean?
Who's to say that he didn't rent it?
There's a scene in the theme song where we see he does move out. He moves out. right?
Yeah.
Like we
but he
see
looks
that.
like he looks like he's an adult. Although I suppose
He looks like he's an older teenager, but I could believe in that he's supposed to be like 14 or 15.
I mean,
Like
to be fair,
a couple years after that, because I fully believe that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna do it where it's like they moved like a year or like a year or two after the last season, so Bobby would have been like 13 or 14 or 15. And then that's when they went. They've been in Saudi Arabia for all that time.
To my understanding, based upon information I've gotten from other people who are like more dialed in on this than I am, they say no, he's moved out on his own. And to be fair, it depends on how old.
I believe by the time of this show, he has absolutely moved out on his own.
In that
I'm
little
saying
bit.
in that little bit, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, there's King of the Hill experts out there who have analyzed it frame by frame, and to be fair, it could be a case of. Even if it's he moved out at 18 and they were gone for 10 years, I suppose he could be 28. It's really going to depend on how old Bobby is, and you won't know until they say it because they've got. It doesn't really sound like they're making him like. My thing is you have the original voice actors come back and she plays them a bit more gravelly, I guess.
How old were I don't imagine you're gonna know this offhand. How old were Hank and Peggy in the last season?
I don't know. I know Bobby was 13
because they're retired. There's a certain age threshold that we know that means they have to be at least 65 to 70 years old in this.
Something like that. Yeah, I imagine in their 60s probably.
Unless they're like very wealthy to be able to retire way earlier, but Hank and Peggy also don't feel like the type that would have. Yeah. So,
yes, but that comes out on August 4th, I think.
Cool. We will keep our eye on that one with great interest.
We will watch that with great interest. Hey there, everybody! It's N-Card Justin here. Let me know down in the comments. Are you excited for this King of the Hill revival? What do you think about it? Do you think Hank is a conservative character, or is he a middle of the aisle character like the showrunner of this new show seems to think he is? Let me know what you think. But in the meantime, if you'd like to see the full podcast that this video is from, our Kung Fu Special 2, where we talked about the new Karate Kid movie, Cobra Kai, all kinds of crazy Kung Fu stuff, click the box on the left. Or if you want to see just a random video that you think YouTube is going to enjoy, YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy, click the box on the right. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We have new videos out every single day. Leave us a like if you could. It really helps us out. And we will see you all in the next video. Have a good day, everybody.